At Think Progress, is it Think Progress? Yeah, Carolee. Right, so there's a double standard at work with regards to Olbermann's suspension, not only among other personalities appearing on MSNBC as commentators, but also at the very top level of the corporate food chain. Comcast is about to own NBC after their acquisition is, or it was complete, I guess, earlier this year. Oh, that's right. It was completed. Now it has to be approved by the incoming Congress. A look at campaign finance disclosures for several organizations show that Phil Anschutz, chairman of Comcast, content partner with Comcast, donated large sums of money to one of the largest outside groups targeting Democrats in the 2010 midterm elections, the Anschutz Corporation. It's almost like Anschluss, isn't it? Doesn't it have that nice kind of Nazi ring to it? The Anschluss, the attack, was out on Yugoslavia. The Anschutz Corporation, wholly owned by Phil Anschutz, gave $50,000 on September 24th to the so-called First Amendment Alliance. The two candidates targeted by the First Amendment Alliance, Jack Conway and Michael Bennett. Keith Olbermann gave to Jack Conway's campaign, along with Raul Grijalva and Gabriel Giffords. Those are the three that Olbermann contributed to. In addition, the Anschluss family donated $170,000 to Republican candidates and committees during the 2010 election cycle, according to Open Secrets. Additionally, Comcast has contributed $125,000 to the Republican Governors Association in the 2010 cycle. There's been a lot of chatter about MSNBC policy and whether Olbermann should have gotten advance approval for his donations to those three candidates. The policy that is out there to be read reads like this. MSNBC TV and NBC require permission of the president of MSNBC or of NBC News regarding, quote, anyone working for NBC News who takes part in civic or other outside activities may find that these activities jeopardize his or her standing as an impartial journalist because they may create the appearance of a conflict of interest. Oh, yeah, Olbermann is an impartial journalist. Yeah, so's Rachel. Yeah, so is Lawrence O'Donnell. Anyway, going on with the statement, such activities may include participation in or contributions to political campaigns or groups that espouse controversial positions. You should report any such potential conflicts in advance to and obtain prior approval of the president of NBC News or his designee. Now, that language clearly says should get prior approval. You should. You should report any such potential conflict. You should, not must. Further, anyone who thinks Olbermann is an impartial journalist should have their head examined. He's not, never has been, never will be. And he's not presented as one. But this question is left hanging. How is it that the parent corporation of NBC and chairman of that corporation, to those people, Pat Buchanan and Joe Scarborough, are accorded First Amendment rights, or I would say it's not rights of freedom of speech, but freedom of association. Pat Buchanan and Joe Scarborough have those rights to political speech, and Keith Olbermann doesn't. Now, I mentioned this the other night. It's from the New York Times. The News Corporation, that's Murdoch, this goddamn fascist Murdoch. News Corporation is one of the biggest suppliers of content to Comcast, with contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So, how much pressure do you think Fox has to put on Comcast, even if Comcast were not inclined to get rid of people like Olbermann? How much pressure would Fox have to put on Comcast? Now, I know a lot of people say, well, Mike, that's ridiculous because Fox needs all those outlets. Let me tell you something, Sparky. If Murdoch wanted to, he could set up his own content provider or his own distributor for any kind of cable or satellite system on Earth. In fact, he already does that. So anyone who says Murdoch doesn't need Comcast or Comcast doesn't need Murdoch is a fool. How much pressure does it take from Fox, one of the biggest suppliers, hundreds of millions of dollars to Comcast, to apply pressure to Comcast and say, get rid of this guy? Now, there's a petition online that you can sign that goes to NBC. I've already signed it, telling if MSNBC and NBC, if they want to keep their viewers, they have to put Keith Olbermann back on the air now. Again, having been through this myself, I can tell you, when I got fired by Air America, I think the petition is still out there, about 27,000 people who signed the petition. And you know what effect it had? About the same as a fart in a hurricane. But I went ahead and signed the petition anyway. Maybe you'll want to also.